put his hand on this moment in time to deny the timeline of the enemy and is about to heal our land. This is Rick, your host, and I believe that God has called me to empower Christian patriots with truth. Join us now for the Blessed to Teach show, and let's see what God is doing today.
Market volatility soars as trade wars, government debt, and global chaos shake the economy. But for centuries, gold and silver have been trusted safe haven assets. Overpriced coins may lose value. Call Kirk Elliott Precious Metals to invest in low-cost 100% liquid bullion. Kirk educates you, charges no commission when you sell, and helps you seize this historic bull market. Protect your wealth now with KEPM at 720-605-3900 or go to kepm.com/B2T.
Welcome, it's Rick B2T here. We're going to be empowering Christian patriots with truth. The next few hours, actually, the first hour, we're going to be digging into the Trump trap with the Insurrection Act in Minnesota and way beyond that. We're going to be talking about some Q drop analysis as well as a bunch of other news that's going on. It's going to get chaotic, but guys, this is the message yet to come. We're looking so forward to it. And then with the second hour, we're going to move over to the Word and Worship channel to do praise and prayer. We do it every Monday and Thursday, as well as Word and Worship on Wednesdays and Saturdays. So join us after the show there at that other Rumble channel or on Faith and Freedom TV. So let's get into some of this breaking news right away. I tell you what, it is not boring time, is it? So here we are. I'm going to start with this whole Xi Jinping thing from China. Right, this is an analysis by one of the guys that says he just arrested his childhood best friend for selling nuclear secrets to America. At least that's the narrative they're saying. I'm just not sure if that's really what's going on, and we'll explain that a little bit more. But this Zhang Yuixia, this guy that is the second most powerful man in China's military, their fathers fought together in Mao's revolution, untouchable until Saturday. The number, 6 generals appointed to the Central Military Commission in 22, all 6 gone. 29 of 44 uniformed officers purged. Total annihilation of the high command. Christopher Johnson, the former CIA analyst, is the quote there. The man who was supposed to lead China's invasion of Taiwan is accused of nuclear treason. Every general who planned Taiwan's operation is gone. Xi just told every Chinese officer that childhood friendship and 60 years of service means nothing. This isn't military that invades Taiwan in 2027. This is a system eating itself. And so this is really crazy that all these generals and childhood friends, and could this be part of what Q has been pointing to? Because if these guys were all the CCP wanting to dominate the world, basically part of the New World Order, wanting to even be the leader of the cabal, right? Fighting the cabal in some ways. Could this be Trump working with Xi? And that is really interesting. Everybody in China craves democracy, but similar to the people in Iran who have no freedom of religion, freedom of anything, right? But here's Joe Lang's take on this again, and really kind of one of the, and it can more like an anon view of this. It says there's a deep state of corrupt cabal puppets in every country, including China. I have been saying for years that Trump, Xi, and Putin are allied together. And that's kind of hard to even imagine the way the narrative is today. The narrative that the media says, Russia bad, China bad, worst people in the world, they're all fighting Trump, right? When it's really all these nations have deep states all wanting to create war and having good guys and bad guys in each country, right? So we've learned this isn't really right versus left. This isn't really nation against nation. This is a cabal of globalists wanting to create a one world order. Once you understand that, things start to change. Q drop 140, November 11th, 2017. Wealth over generations buys powers. Power over generation buys more wealth and control. More wealth and control buys countries and its people. Families combined, TRI equals the new world order. What did POTUS receive while visiting China? Where did POTUS dine? What is its significance? What if China, Russia, and others are coordinating with POTUS to eliminate the new world order? Now that is huge because that just changes the paradigm of everything, right? Because there is a CCP of evil communists that I believe being led by Satan, right? Now, could Z be working with Trump to basically purge that satanic portion of China out of it? That would be interesting. Same with Russia. We know he's against the New World Order, and he talks about it all the time, right? Why is Russia helping to kill ISIS? Working with the U.S. Remember when first came into the first term? This is not easy to accept or believe. Crumbs make bread. Operations active. Joint missions underway. The world is fighting back. Refer back to graphic. The Great Awakening. Snow White. Iron Eagle. Jason Bourne. 2016 Dream. CIA. Q. All these kind of point to all these different movies that kind of point to these different ways the cabal of globals are trying to get us to fight. Here's the latest evidence of this alliance. Another major purge in Chinese leadership is happening. In order to remove corruption, it's happening under the radar. So why would Z arrest his childhood friend? That's basically the CCP. Could it be that because he was going to take over, big portions and create war, and that he's basically working with Trump to try to stop wars? Now that would be real interesting and different, right? The Chinese military top general is being investigated for suspected serious violations of discipline and law in the defense ministry Saturday. And this is that Zhang Yuxia again. The senior of the two vice chairs of the powerful Central Military Commission is the latest figure to fall in the long-running purge of military officials. And now analysts believe the purges are designed both to reform the military and to ensure loyalty to Chinese leader Xi Jinping, who also chairs the military commission. They are part of a broader anti-corruption drive that has punished more than 200,000 officials since Xi came to power in 2022. Another member of the commission, Louis Zenali, has also been placed under investigation by China's ruling Communist Party. A defense ministry statement said Liu, in the chief of staff of the commission joint chiefs department, the commission of the top military body in China. So now here's the commentary again. Did you catch that? More than 200,000 corrupt CCP officials have been arrested by Z since 2012. 200,000. I wrote about this years ago, but it doesn't get much attention. Here's my Substack article on the alliance between Z, Trump, and Putin. So you have that in the show notes again. So just go to blessedteach.com, sign up there. You get every single link I show you, as well as analysis of the show or a summary of the show. There isn't going to be a war with China, in spite of all the hand-wringing in the narrative war. The opposite is happening. The corrupt warmongers are being purged, and the table is being set for true world peace. Joint missions are underway. The world is fighting back. So that's two different ways of looking at completely, right? The CCP is eating itself for power, or you have basically, just like you have potentially Netanyahu and Z fighting their deep state, just like Trump's fighting their deep state in the country. And then when he went to China, he actually went to the Forbidden City, right? That nobody goes there. So just like he went across the border in North Korea, nobody does that either. So it was showing that they're capitulating. They call it the capitulation tour. They're capitulating to Trump, saying, hey, we're going to take out the New World Order together, or else I'm taking you out, basically, is what he was saying. Or I'm going to expose completely everything you guys have been doing, and you're going to lose power anyway. So you might as well work with me. So kind of exciting. What do you guys think about that? Let me know what you think. I'll look at that. It's kind of exciting to understand that we could actually be achieving tremendous things here very shortly. Here's an interesting analysis as well. This is Brian Cates, again, another anon that's kind of come out, kind of like many others have. So Brian Cates, he says, stage is being set for why you need to withdraw support from Trump if he makes the massive blunder of giving them what they think they want, if he invokes the Insurrection Act. So this is what he's saying here. This is important to understand. There's a lot of influencers out there that don't believe in Q, and they don't understand Trump's 5D strategy, and they're basically being paid money for clicks or whatever, and they want to convince you that Trump is an idiot, right? And that Trump should not do certain things that we know he has to do. And one thing we know he has to do is trap people into making it so bad, showing that the courts are captured, showing that that many of these Democratic states that the police force has been captured, that you have to do the military. The military is the only way, right? So, but there's a lot of influence out there trying to get you to think differently, trying to sway you into not supporting Trump if he does the Insurrection Act, right? Look, many of them are going to leave on their own. No, many of them are not going to leave on their own. Don't you agree with that? If you try to say, hey, Gavin Newsom, you were not elected correctly, you need to be removed. You think he's going to just go quietly? You think he's going to leave? No, he's not, right? They're just not. When Trump and Tulsi make that burn bag presentation to the country about 2020 election theft and all the other rigged elections over the past couple of decades, remember that, 20 years of stolen elections, with the
He doesn't sound. He's muted.
No, I can't hear it either.
I gave him a text to you, so I told him to check the sound.
Good, because I can't hear anything.
Me neither.
What's going on?
Oh,
I don't know. Also, you went mute. I'll share this, and also you went mute, no sound.
there's no sound.
I did. Check your sound. You're mute.
It's freezing over there.
That might be why. Maybe the sound's frozen.
Okay, guys, testing. Is that going?
You're good.
All right.
Yes.
So how long have I been out?
I don't know.
About 5.
5 minutes. Bummer, guys. I've reading something that was really awesome.
Like when you first started.
I'll try to cut this out.
No,
when I
that's
re-upload it. Okay, let's pause, guys. Thank you.
Okay.
So
I can do sharing.
Okay.
So we're looking at Brian Cates here, guys. This is an important one when you're looking at the way anons look at things versus the way the actual non-anons look at it, if you will. So less than 5 minutes, says Missy. 2 minutes is that's good. Okay, good. So I imagine that's right when I was getting into Brian Cates, political analyst. So again, he's an anon looking at things differently. And this is important because I agree with him about 90% of the time when I read his post, maybe 95, right? So he's not an incredibly strong believer, but he definitely is a brilliant person. He'll throw out expletives quite a bit and stuff like that. But overall, this guy's awesome as far as analyzing facts, right? And so he's talking about the stage is being set for why you need to withdraw support from Trump. That's what, right? If he makes this massive blunder of giving them what they want, if he invokes the Insurrection Act, right? Does that make sense? So there's a ton of influencers chasing clicks, wanting to be popular, basically thinking they're smarter than Trump, and they don't understand the Q drops, and they're saying, oh my goodness, if he does the Insurrection Act, that is the wrong thing to do. We need to we need to turn our support away from Trump. There's a ton of them out there. Okay? Be careful who you follow, right? Look, many of them are not going to leave on their own. They're just not. When Trump and Tulsi make that burn bag presentation to the country about the 2020 election theft and the other rigged elections over the past couple of decades, remember, we have all the evidence of that. All the Venezuelan whistleblowers, everything. So he's basically saying when this happens with their Venezuelan informant in tow, which is actually a ton of whistleblowers, including who they call Zorro, who's come out in the open now. The people currently illegally occupying all of those public offices solely due to mass foreign coordinated, funded, directed criminal conspiracy to defraud the American people of the rights to pick their own leaders are just not going to say, oops, oh, bummer, you caught me, I'm leaving, sorry. No, they're not gonna do that. Do you agree? Let me know if you agree that the Gavin Newsoms and everybody and all these Democratic blue states, even if we show all the fraud, that they're gonna still stay in their positions and fight us, aren't they? Of course they're gonna do that. All the mob bosses handpicked to win those rigged, fake, gay elections and illegally occupy those public offices are going to refuse to vacate them. And since the vile system that's been rigging many of the election races in our country for decades, had their hand-picked winners stalking the state, county, city courts, and law enforcement agencies with their own compliant and docile people, those courts and those law enforcement agencies are not going to remove them from office. It's captured systems everywhere, especially in the blue states. They're captured entities, right? Understand? They're going to use law enforcement and the courts they control to try to dig in and stay in those offices that they defrauded their way into. There's only one way you force these beneficiaries of a massive criminal conspiracy to vacate these offices. You use the military they don't control to remove them. You use the military courts they don't control to prosecute them. You send them after their trial and conviction based on the documented evidence to a military prison or a military execution ground. All of this begins with the invocation of the Insurrection Act. It's what will bring the process of removing the sick cancer from our country. So, of course, certain social media influencers, celebrity MAGA personalities, and are currently laying the groundwork to influence as many people in the Trump base as possible to change their minds about how America First Trump is if he makes this stupid blunder of invoking the Insurrection Act. So again, if you've been following me, you know military is the only way. That is the only way we're going to be able to handle this. Pam Bondi could be the best person ever and have the best tight cases ever. Go to our courts and they're not going to be held accountable in any significant way. Some will, but a mass majority of them would not. Do you agree with that? Just let me know. And if you understand that they've captured too many judges, captured too many of the public, and infiltrated that public with paid protesters as an example, right? So you could have paid people on the jury, right? So what you have to do in order to get back to where we can have real juries of our peers that are fair, we have to first rid the judges, rid these corrupt prosecutors who they own, rig many of these lawyers from the bar associations that are part of the whole cabal organization. That is not going to happen without mass gutting with the military tribunals, military action, military insurrection act. And so that's a point of view that I share with Brian Cates. You guys let me know what you think about that, right? So it's going to be interesting. T. Mitchell says, I agree with that, but what else do you guys think? So I can post things from YouTube as well as I can post things from Rumble. All right, thanks, Backstagers, for letting me know that I lost my sound there. I'm going to have to rewire I got a really expensive mic here, and we'll rewire that because that happened about a year and a half ago with this professional mic. I'll show you guys the mic real quick. So this is a beautiful professional mic that I've had for years. It was donated to me by a listener from Nashville Music Center. So it was like, it's a beautiful mic. With all kinds of equipment to change every single dial you can imagine, we'll get that rewired to, it might mean some new wires, etc. All right, let's get into this in a little more detail because it's exciting to understand what the anons and what analysis of people who understand it, understand what God's doing in this war. It's a spiritual war. So that's what's different about this show, is we don't just look at the news and report what everybody else is reporting. We look at what also the anons are saying, what God's saying, right? And that's why just applying those filters of what detailed researchers that Trump trusted to go research with the Q movement, what are they thinking? What are they reporting on? Versus the MAGA influencers that didn't get kicked off YouTube, right? Why didn't they kick off YouTube? For a reason, right? If you know any MAGA influencer that didn't get kicked off YouTube, well, he wasn't talking about election fraud. He wasn't talking about the jab, right? He or she. So be careful who you follow, because they blew, their platforms blew up on YouTube for a reason, right? That is something that we got to understand in general. All right, let's get back to some breaking news here. That was the Brian analysis. Now, this is interesting. I want to show you this. This is a Super Bowl commercial from Budweiser, right? They blundered on Bud Light with Delaney and all that. And we all know that. But Trump said give him a chance. And they finally do a patriot-oriented commercial here that's going to be playing the Super Bowl that I was pretty impressed with. You guys tell me what you think. Here we go. It's a 60-second commercial.
Sun's in my eyes.
Wow.
About time.
Please stop using. Just no sound from you.
There's no sound.
Could be the weather.
Testing. Wow.
You're back.
You're back. All right. So guys, my commentary on it's just so cool to see a Delaney oriented. There was a big storm here. The whole studio office is closed. So the good news is the internet's up, but obviously my equipment got affected potentially by the storm, the ice storm. We'll have to see what's going on. But to me, it's so cool to see Delaney and Bud Light having DEI hires and Bud Light, American great company, being completely taken in the wrong direction, and then Budweiser realizing that and moving back toward patriot commercials and hopefully shedding their DEI ways, right? Amazing commercial says, So that is beautiful. That is beautiful stuff. So thanks for bearing with the microphone challenges during this storm here. I was sliding in my big, huge truck. Fortunately, I have a big truck with 37-inch tires, right? That allowed me to get into the studio. But we got a little bit of technical issues we'll work through here. But boy, cool. Hopefully Budweiser keeps that momentum up, right? Of many American companies turning back to being a red-blooded, blue-blooded. Let's go back to American patriot-oriented commercials versus this other crap they've been doing. All right, let's continue to dig in. Here's clean home without harmful chemicals. What I love about this company, this is Anna Kate's company called Healthy Tech. You go to Healthy Technology, but it says healthytex.com, or easier to just call them because they have such awesome stuff. If we need to get healthy, right? And you can use all kinds of technologies to do that. I think I have the water purifier system. I got 2 of them, one up above that does the hydrogen and one down below that gets rid of the fluoride. And they also have all kinds of air and cookware. Like most of the cookware is poison. That Teflon stuff, that non-stick Teflon, well, it's poisonous. And so having the cutlery and the cookware and the grounding mattresses and this healing hydrogen water, which I have, so much. I've got if you really want to dig into having home health oriented type of things, she loves to understand what your needs are, what your budgets are, and to give you the most that she can with the best stuff. Whether you want whole house filtration, that's what I wish I had and could afford. I just can't afford to do that. But how nice would that be to have all your water filtered in your whole house? Because when you take a shower, it gets in your skin, right? Your skin is the organ that absorbs that stuff, all that crap they put into our tap water, right? This living water is what I have, is the one that adds hydrogen into your. I love this thing above, but I have to have a below one or the whole house one to get rid of the fluoride and stuff like that. This gets rid of some things as well as this puts hydrogen in it. So beautiful living water. But all this you can find at 754-336-3394. That's 754-336-3394. And hey, we got Mary Crowley was scheduled to go in today. She got stuck because of the storm, so we're going to be scheduling her later. Thursday with Emily Peterson. If you really want to know about CCP, Child Protective Service, what they do to try to steal your kids, she has personal experience with that, and is exposing it and has a ministry around exposing the CCP, the whole Child Protective Services, CPS. And then we got 107 coming on Monday, a week from today, and then Joe.
Sound out.
I'm not sure if this is going to work, guys. We're going to have to, if I turn it on and off, it's coming back on. So the connectivity is
back on.
Not good. It's back on. Thanks. I'm just checking to see if there's anything. I'll just have to rewire that afterwards and get that working. Storm's taking out all kinds of equipment here. But Joel Altman is awesome, right? So he was the one that called out Eric Coomer for saying, F Trump, he's not going to win. I will take care of it. He's working for Dominion, right? And he was on an Antifa call when he said that. And he was confirmed to be Antifa. And he sued everybody that said that told the truth about who he really was. And now all the facts are coming out. And so all his defamation cases are coming in. He actually is suing Patrick Byrne too, as well as Mike Lindell and many others. And so Joel Altman is one that's being sued by Eric Coomer. He's telling the truth. This guy's a man of God. I've met this guy personally multiple times. He's coming on the show to tell his story. And now he's running for governor of Colorado to change that state. So join me on next Thursday with Joel Altman. He's got also a great podcast too. We'll be talking about so he is going to be on the front lines of not backing down to the courts. The courts have treated him terribly, put him in contempt and everything, and they're trying to basically, Eric Coomer tried to accelerate this because he probably knew that this day would come when all the truth is starting to come out, and they're going to be vindicated. God is going to vindicate Mike Lindell and Joel Altman and Patrick Byrne and all these people that are being sued by Eric Coomer. In fact, they just reported on Patrick Byrne case against Eric Coomer. Was it Eric? Yeah, and so Eric Coomer's basically saying, you can't ask me about Venezuela, Serbia, or China. And if you've been following me, you know those are the countries that stole our elections for 20 years at the local, state, and federal levels. So the servers were moved to Serbia, which was controlled by China. So China worked with Venezuela, actually controlled by partially by Cuba, as well as transactions going through the fake systems and be away from the SWIFT system through Iran. So you have all those 4 or 5 countries totally putting their globalist puppets in charge instead of the people we really voted for, such as Joe Biden. Right? Joe Biden was just tip of the iceberg. There's so many House and Senate seats. They're all controlled and by this Venezuelan software, Smartmatic, that went to Sakia, that actually was bought by Dominion, and then it went into all the machines. So you basically have the remnants and the back doors that in all the equipment. So you say, hey, I use Heart. I don't use Dominion. Doesn't matter. I use ES&S, not Dominion. Doesn't matter. But Dominion just happens to be in all the swing states. What a coincidence, huh? Because that made it easier for them to control from one place. But they did it out of Serbia. They switched the votes with virtual machines. And I tell you what, this is going to be the biggest story ever. This is not even close to Watergate. Watergate is a drop in the bucket compared to the ocean. But what this fraud of stealing elections for 20 years in the most powerful nation in the world, and not stopping there, doing it and using our corrupt CIA of globalists to take that software worldwide to 71 other countries. Just think about that. What could be a bigger criminal conspiracy? And then that gave them control to do all the criminal stuff of bringing guns into us and bringing drugs into us and buying off all the politicians that weren't even part of that, right? So you basically have you have tons of money to be able to control the world, and God said no. And God said no. Is that not beautiful? Woo! So it looks like my sound is still working. That's good. All right, let's continue with this breaking news. That's Joel Altman coming on. And here we have a plaque from the demonic coalition of Satan worshipers, okay? Guess what? There's a plaque in the Minnesota Capitol. Here's this person talking about it.
This is Representative P.M. Altendorf coming live at you from the Minnesota State Capitol. I am on the ground floor, and as I was leaving my committee meeting today here earlier, I noticed that there is a new display here at the State Capitol, and it's for Governor Walz. It's right here on display. So let me see. I mean, I guess I can't flip my phone, but I'll see if I can show it to you. This is what we have here, everyone. Let me read it to you. The Democratic Coalition of Satan Worshipers thanks Governor Tim Walz for not standing in the way of spreading Satanism in the state capitol building. Satan has a special place for you. That's right, everyone. So the Democratic Coalition of Satan Worshipers, they have given some sort of plaque here to Governor Tim Walz. So let me be the first, I guess, to congratulate Governor Tim Walz for this very special award that has come from the Satan worshipers here in the Minnesota State Capitol. Yes, everyone, this is true. I am live, not making this up. You can't make this up. I don't know what else to say. I would think if you're Governor Tim Walz, you could choose not to have up this plaque. I don't know why a governor of a state would want this plaque, but there it is. Let me show you. Here we are, live at the state capitol, and the state worshipers have thanked Governor Tim Walz. And let me repeat this. The last line says, Satan has a special place for you. I'm speechless.
Satan has a special place for Tim Walz, and he's accepted a plaque into the Capitol. If you go back a ways, back in December of 2024, you can see here the Minnesota Satanist Post. And this shows in the Capitol, sure enough, they're putting all this stuff in there. And it says, thanks to the hard work, from our congregation, especially Calcifer, for helping us set up Minnesota's Satanist first ever holiday display at the state capitol in St. Paul. Hail religious plurality, hail Satan. Okay, that is what was, you don't think this is a spiritual war? This is not show. This is 100% a spiritual war. And this is why Psalm 40 says, "Dear God, pray for an end to this madness in Minnesota." Right? And here's breaking. Federal agents in St. Paul pursued a man who fled a vehicle and struck multiple officers. One agent fired shots in defensive response before the suspect was taken into custody. So this continues to happen. And this is why I put this on the thumbnail, right? You've got the AG Ellison and Omar and the Governor Frey, as well as Governor Waltz, as well as the Mayor Frey, all with their huge hand in the Somali fraud, all pointing at ICE. So ICE is the problem. The people just trying to do their job to remove criminals. Yeah, they're the problem. Immigration control enforcement. They're the problems. You can see this is part of the strategy. This is what Saul Alinsky, who was studied by Hillary, studied by the upper globalists as well as Obama, on how to basically take over a country. You have to do a color revolution, they call it. And part of that is getting a bunch of people into a frenzy and become what they call are useful idiots. I need useful idiots. And that's what they've done to people who watch MSNBC and ABC and watch or read the New York Times, read the Washington Post. They're watching Rachel Maddow, Anderson Cooper. Those people become useful idiots. So crazy that they'll combine with the communists and the extreme Muslims to basically try to destroy the country from within. Right? Blaze Media did a report on this where basically one of the ICE guys got his finger bit off. Literally, they had the finger in the jar, showing that how one of these crazies bit off the person's finger. This avoidable tragedy is a result of total failure of Minnesota's city and state officials. He will lose his finger that talked about. And you see that I think this may be the same guy in this article here talking about far left activists bloody up federal agents. Local cops barely respond. And so you can see here that they're breaking into this hotel that was suspected of having ICE people staying at the hotel. And so they're vandalizing it, breaking windows. So there's an ICE guy in here, or some federal guy basically trying to stop this guy. And this guy in the mask over here and they're trying to keep people from coming into the hotel by taking this big refrigerator and closing the door off. But they're gonna do everything they can to stop them from barricading the door. He continues to impede with just protecting a hotel room. So there you are, charging in to the hotel.
Optio! Yeah. Oh yeah! Back up! Oh, back up! Back up!
Now they start breaking windows. He's asking how they broke the window of the hotel. This is not peaceful protest. And they're vandalizing the windows by saying, ICE, go home. You can see that they've broken windows, throwing stuff in the hotel. Okay, and then you'll see down here in this video, this cop right here is bloody. His whole, there's blood on the actual floor. You can see all over his hand. I was thinking that's probably the guy that got his finger bit off. See how he's wrapping up his finger? He's bleeding like mad.
Looks like this officer's bleeding.
You know you shot some dude with a beanbag at point blank range with banging a pan? Is that a crime now?
And I think this is the same place. They brought these guys in that with the military. I would imagine these guys are military now versus just ICE. They've got the machine guns now to stop them. And they still continue to agitate these guys, right? Here's a.
Everyone press!
We're officers. We're overnight. We're all members of the press. We're all press here. Okay.
So this guy starts asking for the press. You know, ask where the police are. How come the police aren't here doing this? Why are there federal agents and military having to keep peace?
This officer appears to be bleeding from the mouth. Oh my God.
Finally backed off, but you'll see them interviewing him right here. So that this is not peaceful protest. Obviously, when people with machine guns have to come in to keep them off. Trump tells Walls, Frey, it's time to cooperate with the feds. Stop stoking flames of division, chaos, and violence. And obviously, they're not going to do that. But that is exactly what Trump did. A truth on that to talk about just that. Anti-ICE libs are freaking out about their secret signal chat being exposed in Minneapolis. Now, this is awesome. So a guy infiltrated, and they're using Signal and they're very organized. They literally have people that are checking in and checking out, driving around, trying to capture license plate. They have people in the government that are using federal license plate services to actually, or city services to actually look at license plates and then have databases to track every single ICE agent that comes in there. You know James O'Keefe is doing this stuff as well. So he basically went into Minneapolis and he got a text saying, "You leave, we're gonna kill you." Literally getting threatened. So this is not even close to peaceful protests is what we're looking at. And then the Signal chat is, you can see that they're full of elected officials, Antifa street soldiers, MS-13 affiliates are even in there. Reuters journalists, they found a journalist in there from Reuters. Literally state government admins, all coordinating doxing. Doxing means you basically take a person that is anonymous and tell people who they are, what their name is, even potentially what their home address is. Ambushing and attacking ICE agents nationwide. This isn't a protest. It's a criminal enterprise. RICO, the whole darn network. Lock them up. Signalgate, insurrection. So this is what it's called an insurrection, when you have law-abiding police. When law and order goes out, that is when you can basically do a color revolution to take out the country. This is why they've this is a spiritual war, guys. We need your prayers. We're going to win this. Because God's word's already gone out. But you want to be involved and make sure that this goes on a timeline that we want versus extended. We need to be using our prayer warrior authority in Christ now, because this is a huge spiritual battle. New horrifying details about the leftist mob invasion of the cities of church, of the city's church come out. So the city's church, as you know, Don Lemon goes in there with all those agitators. And that, you know, the person that came on CNN that organized this, we just sat down and were participating in the service, and then when the pastor got there, we started asking questions. Total lie. That's not what's happening. We saw the videos. They were screaming chants, screaming of Renee Good, who got killed, and saying anti-ICE terms, right? The week before last, the mob leftists, including Don Lemon, stormed City's church in St. Paul, Minnesota. And the three of the agitators were arrested and almost immediately released by judges, while another judge refused to sign off on the arrest warrant for Lemon. So you see how we have to have military tribunals? Why we have to have the military? Because they own the judges. They own the prosecutors. They own everything. So Pam Bondi went in there to arrest them, and what good does it do? They get released. It turns out that Judge Douglas Miko is married to a woman who reportedly works in AG's Keith Ellison office. Obviously, that's a Soros-based AG, Attorney General for the state of Minnesota. Now we have some horrifying new details in what that mob actually did in the church. And so this is interesting. So a couple of things that came out. Agitators blocked stairs so parents were unable to get their children. So can you imagine that? You check your kids in, and then you have a bunch of protesters coming in, yelling and screaming, angry, calling you Nazis, and then you can't even go get your kid from the nursery. That is not a peaceful protest. Not to mention that you're breaking the law in the Constitution on the freedom of religion. One told the kid right here, do you not know your parents are Nazis? They're going to burn in hell. Okay, so more of these details are coming out in there. That is, again, not a peaceful protest. That's not protected by the First Amendment to break into a church, keep parents from getting to their kids and yelling at kids that their parents are going to burn in hell. That is not the case. Trump announces he's sending Tom Homan to Minnesota at protest. Now, Tom's been on this show. I was in Israel with him on the Homan tour, which is beautiful. Back about 2 years ago, Democratic congressional lawmakers have warned in the wake of Petrie's shooting that could shut down the federal government. So this is all kinds of wild stuff. There's Tom going to be going to Minnesota. So Trump sent him in again. This is a beautiful man of the Lord who wants to protect this country. I think it's a beautiful thing. Tim Walz compares Trump's ICE crackdown in Minnesota to the Nazi occupation told by Anne Frank. Now the pushback has been major here, right? It's like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? So you're talking about Nazis who wanted to burn you because you were a Jew, and you're comparing that to somebody trying to arrest somebody to send them back to the country that they illegally came into this country from. And that is so comparing those two things is exactly how crazy these people have become. They can't think logically. They just have such Trump derangement Hinch syndrome, or any that again, there's massive, way more deportations by Bush and Obama. And so the fact that Trump is doing anything, it's going to be pushed back. That's why, guys, we have to get rid of all the criminals that are purposely creating a color revolution, using useful idiots, using the media that's the enemy of the people to basically create the Trump derangement syndrome. That's what does it, is that. So here's Governor Tim Walz saying, damn proud of Minnesota. And Clandestine says, you wittingly send your brainwashed sheep to the slaughter, hoping some of them would take it too far and get shot on camera, so you could deflect from the fact that you are and your cohorts stole hundreds of billions of our tax dollars. You will fail. That's exactly right. It's the way I feel with clandestine. How do you guys feel? I think that's exactly right as well. Yeah. Whew, can't make this thing up indeed, says Days of Elijah. Crazy. It is quite crazy what's going on there. Here you see Walz later, chest thumping. It says, here, let's listen.
But I have a strong statement here for our federal government. Minnesota's justice system will have the last word on this. It must have the last word. As I told the White House in no uncertain terms this morning, the federal government cannot be trusted to lead this investigation. The state will handle it, period. Minnesotans are witnesses. The
state will handle it, period. Even though it was a federal crime, with federal resources being they're being kept from doing their jobs. So it's like, okay, that does not make sense. So like Trump does many times, he gets them under control. Keep your enemies closer, right? So here's Trump. Let me see if I can blow this better up for you guys on a mobile phone. It's not going to let me get it any bigger, it looks like. So it says, Governor Tim Walz called me with the request to work together with respect to Minnesota. It was a very good call, and we actually seem to be on similar wavelength. I told Governor Walz that I would have Tom Homan call him. That is one way to do this. A guy that has the authority to arrest your butt, he's going to call you. And that we are looking for any and all criminals that they have in their possession. The governor very respectfully understood that. Right? I bet after they said, you're going to be in jail unless you do this. And I will be speaking to him in the near future. He was happy that Tom Homan was going to Minnesota. I bet. And so am I. We have had such tremendous success in Washington, D.C., Memphis, Tennessee, and New Orleans, Louisiana, and virtually every other place that we have touched. And even in Minnesota, crime is way down. But both Governor Walz and I want to make it better. President Donald J. Trump. So we'll see if he's finally submitted, right? And I don't think so, though. I think that part of this could be also the story, the movie that we watch, if you will, where it's real consequences, but showing that we need to have the military come in. We have to have the Insurrection Act. Because why? Because they own the judges. They own the prosecutors. They own the police force. All right, guys, look at this. So by Friday, silver went up to 102, and now it's 107. It actually went to 117 for a little bit today. So very volatile. You can just see how volatile that is today, right? Just crazy. But if you look at this the last 6 months, guys, it is just this, and this is just the beginning, I'm telling you, because the Babylonian system has not crashed yet. We haven't gone to the gold standard yet, right? But this is going to sink the banks. They are in big trouble with all those short positions. They've sold 370 contracts to every ounce of silver, and if you know anything about shorting and derivatives, if you short those derivatives, and you basically have to sell to people who have this paper, a piece of silver at $25 or whatever you shorted at, even if the price goes to 110, you have to sell them and you have to go get that piece of silver. Well, they can play that game, and they've done it for 20 years to suppress silver, and the game is over. And this is part of the whole Babylonian system crash, to have this at $107 now. Now, again, if you look at the pricing, it's always a good sign when you see something like this over the last day, where it actually peaked at 117, right? So the likelihood of it breaking through 117 again is very high. So $107 is not necessarily a bad price. That's why I'm just telling you, get advice. Don't miss the silver train completely, right? This is just the beginning. 720-605-3900. That is Kirk Elliott's number. Again, you can have a link down below in this video as well. But Kirk is the one who actually help me get all my retirement moved over, get some of the cash I had. So any of my treasures I had, I pretty much did all silver, which has ended up being a scary thing for the last 4 years, but ended up being better than you can imagine. It's like 4x, 400%. But guys, I told you that the real. It's going to be too late once the Babylonian system crashes. You got to have some of it now if you want to hedge your bet. So make sure you just get financial advice from a financial advisor of Kirk Elliott. 720-605-3900. Here's a woman who basically said wants to kill Trump. And she, on her Instagram, had a video saying, surely a sniper with a terminal illness cannot be a big ask out of 343 million. Talking about there's got to be some in the United States that's going to die anyway. You might as well be a sniper to kill Trump. Well, she's in custody now. All right, this is her. So she was arrested. Following a detailed evening investigation by deputies in Jackson County Bureau of Investigation, Morgan L. Morrow, age 39 of Ripley, has been detained, arrested, and transported. So this is the type of thinking that this is what happens when you get left-wing media lying constantly and putting narratives that Trump is a dictator, Trump's a Nazi, anybody who supports him is a Nazi. So this is a West Virginia librarian for basically trying to get somebody, hey, we've got to find somebody to kill Trump. Pretty crazy, isn't it? And so I want to get to some Q drops. So here's the QI. This is, again, I like to look at what the anons are saying too, right? Boom, drop 586. What would happen if texts originating from an FBI agent to several internals discussed the assassination possibility of the POTUS or member of his family? Q. So they probably already had this way back then, but some of these things are future proofs past, or they are anticipating this, and this just kind of goes over the whole drop of January 22nd, which was obviously this last week. What would happen if text originating from an FBI agent to several internals discussed assassination possibility of POTUS or members of his family? What if text suggests foreign allies were involved? Forget the Russia setup, 1 of 22. This is only the beginning. Be careful what you wish for as the world turns. Could messages such as those be publicly disclosed? What happens to the FBI? What happens to the DOJ? What happens to the special counsel? What happens in general? Every FBI DOJ previous case could be challenged. Lawless. Think logically. We haven't started the drops regarding human trafficking, sacrifices, yet worse. You guys, that's coming. This whole human sacrifice and human trafficking, sacrifices, that's ugly stuff. But that's what Luciferian Satanists do. Those good who know cannot sleep. Those good who know cannot find peace. Those good who know will not rest until those responsible who are held accountable. Nobody can possibly imagine the pure evil and corruption out there. Those you trust are the most guilty of sin. You are. Who are we taught to trust? If you are religious. So this is just an awesome post that a lot of people are talking about. Whoa, here we go. Pretty interesting to look back at some of these drops. Here's another anon saying, we're being told what is happening. Cleaning house, final stage. 74 Q drops are containing the word clean. So if you search the word clean, you're going to see that all over the Q drop 74 times. Number 15, a deep cleaning is occurring in the prevention of defense of pure evil is occurring on a daily basis. I really believe that, guys. Even during the 4 years of Biden, we're still doing military tribunals cleaning up the evil. What does the house cleaning represent? We always knew. Final stage. Post 521. Not everything will be clean. Scare, necessary event. So that's why many people believe that we're going to have some type of nuclear scare or some type of, Trump's been assassinated when he's really alive, some type of scare event that's going to happen. But it's really going to be part of house cleaning is what it's really going to be. Dan Scavino Jr. posts a lot of things about this as well. So he's a great guy to follow if you're talking about this whole movement and want to understand future proofs past a little bit. Here's Denise Pay saying the third of 4 drops containing very specific reason. So this was some anons we're talking about some of the Q drops that say very specific reason. So one of them is Q1771 that says, excellent, you cannot fool a massive group of dedicated gold star researchers. That's what these Q drops are all about. Getting all these autist-oriented, really great computer researchers that he could ask Socratic questions. They would go research, like, what really happened in Haiti in the Clinton Foundation? Who was arrested? And then the researchers find all that. And that's how I started this channel, guys, just basically reporting on what the anons were researching all during the 2018-2019 period. And that's why they took my YouTube account out of 109,000 subscribers, right before the 2020 election. They took hundreds of us out, all that had any influence over telling the truth about what the Q drops were and the researchers were finding based on the Q drops. So yes, it was a psyop on the deep state. It was Trump's back channel, as confirmed by many zero deltas and many other Q proofs. At what point does it become mathematically impossible? That was the mathematical impossibility, was all the Trump tweeting at the same time that Q posted. Boom, boom. Sometimes on similar topics too. Comm structure designed for a very specific reason. And that's what this was. Again, it was Q1771. You cannot fool a massive group of dedicated gold star researchers. At what point does it become mathematically impossible? Comm structure designed for a very specific reason. That very specific reason was to get all those detailed, massive gold star researchers researching the right things without breaking laws for giving comms out that were protected by top secret intel, right? So, or Q-oriented research. So a lot of this stuff, it was really more asking questions, doing it in a legal framework to get that all started. So that's kind of interesting, isn't it? Here's a thread that I'm going to go through that I think you guys might find interesting. This is Nolan the Thorn doing a good job just looking at this. It's talking about a Q proof, not a date. Q post number or precise timestamps time that makes this Q proof so monumental. So a lot of times you have all these proofs that point to certain drops based on the timestamps and things like that. But he's just saying this one's a lot more obvious. It is the phrase that needs no further evidence. Q 2450 has sentence. A beautiful, brave new world lies ahead. So you see this is 2450. You'll see right here, we are going to show you a new world. Those who are blind will soon see the light. A beautiful, brave new world lies ahead. This is why Trump says the best is yet to come all the time. We take this journey together, one step at a time. Where are we going one, we go all. Q, brave new world. Okay, so that was in November of 2018. But then you'll see here, Trump puts out a truth, and that the whole article is about Trump's brave new world, right? So pretty obvious that might be pointing right back to 2450, the brave new world, right? It could be disconnected as coincidence, but it is so much more when you look at to President Trump's post and Q post. Did you know there's Q posts that tell of a board of boards? For those not following along with Q, it seems almost impossible to have this advanced knowledge. Military intelligence, referred above. Their absolute biggest inside drop this board will ever receive. So this whole thing is military intelligence. Referenced above is the absolute biggest inside drop this board will ever receive. So this is basically talking about these drops that he's giving us information. Now think about why Antifa plays right into the plan. Always ahead, good guys are winning. So Antifa is going to give the excuse to put the Insurrection Act in. And they showed their hand on 2020, George Floyd, and they're going to try to do that all again. They're trying it right now in Minnesota. It'll be interesting. Now here's Trump with a big long truth. I'm not going to read all this, but it's basically talking about how this $340 million of great patriot money doesn't cost the taxpayers anything to expand the White House, to have that ballroom. Well, they hate Trump so much, you can't do that. Even though that back has been there's been many rebuilding projects over. Nobody's ever cared about that. But now because Trump is doing it, they care it because he's putting a beautiful $400 million ballroom in there, paid for by donations. And you've got now a judge basically saying you can't do that. After they've already started the destruction process, they've already the reconstruction process, they already got all the materials ordered. Pretty crazy. That's Trump derangement syndrome at its finest. And here's Trump starting to endorse some new people. And this one's interesting because this guy, Greg Walker from Indiana, would not support. He's supposed to win his Senate race, but he would not support redistricting Indiana. So if you see over time, the dishonest Democrats are going to do what they call gerrymandering. Now, the Republicans do that as well. But Trump is basically asking them to get rid of that gerrymandering and do what's right versus trying to do what's politically correct and gerrymander around to where there's a Democrat representative in Indiana. While all the Democratic states don't do that, we have no Republican representatives in most of the Democrat states. So this guy refused to do it, voted with the Democrats. So Trump basically actually gave her and look at now. Now she's 59% to 23%. That's the power of Trump's. That's given her the thumbs up, right? So he says it really quickly here. Unlike incumbent Greg Walker, a rhino loser who has failed the fantastic people of Indiana so badly. Michelle Davis is a winner who will not let you down. So his endorsement by Trump brings her from 20% to 59%. This shows you the power of his nominations is still there, right? People don't realize it, that the Trump-Kennedy senators suffered massive deficits for years, and like everything else, I merely came in to save it and, if possible, make it far better than ever before. President Donald J. Trump. All right. Just received, this is another Trump truth, just received the last hostage body in Gaza, thus got back all 20 of the living hostages and all of the dead. Amazing job. Most thought of an impossible thing to do. Congratulations to my great team of champions, President JT. Now they're supposed to disarm. Hamas is not going to do that. It's going to be really, they have such hatred. They hate the Jews more than they love their own children. It's very clear. Here's Sidney Powell saying, George is at it again. New AAC numbers just came out. Look, the Georgia voter rolls have become even more ridiculous. This is where you've got Kemp, who's a rhino. You've got Rasmusburger, who's a rhino. You got all those people that were Republicans are rhinos. 73 countries now have more registrations than citizens voting age population. So basically, 73 counties have more registered voters than there are the population. So it's just complete voter fraud is part of the whole problem. That's why you can't even clean it up. You have to just start from scratch. That's why we're going to have military elections, voter ID. We got to all go register to vote again, because they purposely inflated the rolls to be able to use the voting machines to place votes in those for those voters. And you can't prove fraud. That's why it's so important. The voter rolls are just as important as the election machines. They work together in tandem to steal our elections and flip votes. Here's Tehran tonight. An Iranian man holds up a poster that says, President Trump, the people of Iran are trying to save the world from a terrorist regime with their bare hands. Please help. So Trump is working with Israel because as soon as they do any type of attack on Iran to punish the people that are killing, which looks like to be 30 to 40,000 people, unarmed protesters. That's the evil of the Iran regime. They're going to start throwing bombs at Israel too. So they've got extra batteries, everything up for the Patriot missiles, all the other Iron Dome type things ready to roll in Israel. Trump's got is now going to be doing, has been doing some preparatory missions and has the aircraft carrier there now. So I would imagine there's going to be some type of action soon. Trump's focus is going to be on the people that have killed the innocent protesters. Shab Ezra, the CEO of Moderna, says he is deeply disappointed that the company's vaccines for children are no longer being recommended. He openly confessed that the decline in demand has hurt the vaccine business. He says Moderna no longer expects to invest in phase 3 vaccine studies anytime soon because it no longer has access to the U.S. market. It's like, good. That's good. Yes, it is. All right. Here's Lance Wallnau. Let's listen.
I believe we're on the verge of taking ground we've never taken. I know the battle is hot for many of you, but I'm telling you, we're taking ground. We're taking ground in every area. I got Dr. Ted Baird is going to be on the show today. He's going to be talking about the next level warfare in a very practical way, how to make the movies and how to get the projects and how to get your career going in the arts and media entertainment mountain. And it's never been better. You'll hear information today that'll blow your mind. Stuff you never, the Christian market is the strongest market for media right now. I mean, we're at the top of the music charts. We set the pace in Hollywood. You're going to learn about how your dream to maybe write the book or tell the story, or someone in your family that's got this call to get a story out that'll touch millions. You're going to hear the inside secrets. That's going to be Dr. Ted Baird. He's going to be on in a minute. And I'm going to come back to this. Next level spiritual warfare. Folks, many of you are going through it.
Break free from deception 24/7. Tap faithandfreedom.live, playing now.
That's faithandfreedom.live, guys. That'll take you to the new 24/7 Rumble channel. Again, faithandfreedom.live. Go check that out. Lance Wallnau is one of 26 shows or 29 shows that we have on there now in 4 different 24/7 channels. I think you guys will see this is beautiful to have some of these powerful influencers coming to the Faith and Freedom Media Network ministry. Faith with the N as in Nancy, freedom.live. That's faithandfreedom.live. And again, there's 3 24/7 channels here, 4 running on 4 channels on Rumble. So again, faithandfreedom.live, biohackingville.live, growingyourfaith.live. That's how you get to the Rumble channels on these. And Faith and Freedom TV.tv is how you get to the actual web app. So I'm excited about this, and we're going to move now, guys, to go into praise and prayer. And this is what we do every Monday and Thursday. So join us over there. For those of you on Rumble, stay right there. I'll move you over. We'll probably start it in around 8 or 9 minutes. We're going to be starting over there. But God bless you guys, and join us over there. You can find it on the Word and Worship channel or the Growing with Faith channel on Rumble, or the Word and Worship channel on Faith and Freedom TV. Okay? God bless. Can't wait to see you guys right over there. God bless.
Elitist media deceives, but Faith and Freedom TV amplifies truth. Our world-leading platform delivers news, teachings, worship, movies, and music rooted in biblical values and constitutional patriotism, inspiring faith and liberty. We inspire, equip, and amplify Christian patriots to share powerful stories of faith, family, and freedom. With live events, thousands of on-demand videos, and access on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, Android, and iOS, we're transforming culture globally for God and country. New content is coming to ignite faith. Join our mission to counter deception. Visit faithandfreedom.tv and download the Faith and Freedom TV app today.